This is the Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
I know change is scary. Let's do this.
Hey, Riley.
But we need new friends or we'll be totally alone in high school. Hello? I'm anxiety. Where can I put my stuff? I'm the worst.
Well, that's a preview of the next 10 years.
Please welcome Amy Poehler.
Make some noise.
Amy Poehler, welcome to the Fitzy Whipper Kate Ritchie show.
Thank you.
I don't think we've had you on the show before.
No, I've only been here one other time 9 or 10 years ago. And
for the first movie.
That's right. It's good luck to be back again.
I know that, Kate, because as you do, we were there last night. We loved the Q&A. It was awesome.
Oh, thanks.
And the film is clever.
It's so good. It's really, really good.
And I think the other thing is too, when you talk about Pixar and how they're sensitive towards teenagers, you can tell in the detail that's in the film that they have made sure they've ticked off everything appropriately.
Yeah, they're geniuses over there. They take things very seriously. They have these big, fun, funny films, but underneath all the vegetables, they do their work. They're really, really interesting. And they just create these worlds and a way to talk about things that feels very creative and new.
Yeah. I was just saying in the car on the way here, though, films like this, they do make parenting hard on a morning like I have had where my daughter didn't want to go to school, and what I would normally, old
Which emotion
school,
were you this morning?
I don't know. I was one of the emotions trapped in the jar, but because
you weren't joy.
No, I was not joy, and because of films like this, and this is great for my daughter, is that hard, tough love and just go to school and let's not talk about this just isn't an option anymore.
I know.
I'm happy about.
I love what they do in the second film is they take those primary emotions, the one that we're getting to know, and they bottle them up.
Yeah.
And these new ones come in that confuse everyone. They're really complicated. They're tricky. They're hard to pin down. And you kind of reminisce for the easier, sad, happy, scared. You kind
they're
of
the primary
miss those.
colours of emotions, aren't they?
Yeah.
And you're right. When I was watching the film last night, you do go back and think about when the puberty button was hit on your panel board. And there's some dark years, man. I was like, I had pubes in grade 4.
I know.
I grew really early, and that's for another day.
Did you have a full mustache?
Yeah, I did. Dad taught me to shave. Mum taught me to shave. Everybody went through it, and I had to work my whole body over.
Yeah, you went straight to work. You got a 9 to 5 when you were 10.
I did. From a boy to a man.
Yeah.
But he's fine about it.
Like no hang-ups.
So
no hang-ups at all. Embarrassment wasn't there, hiding under a hoodie. Do you know what I loved when you were talking about improv? And I've been to Upright Citizens Brigade.
You have?
Yes, I
Wow.
have. And I loved it, but I loved also that you could relate it to your real life and your day-to-day, where your reaction is yes and.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was a great angle. Can you explain that?
Sure. There's this tenet in improv that you can say yes to things and it'll move the action forward. So if you want, you can stop what you're doing. You can stop somebody. You can put a halt to where you're going. But if you say yes and agree, you might get somewhere together. So that bigger idea, I think, can apply to life. Why not say yes to some things? Or at the very least, keep an open mind as to what someone is suggesting.
Yeah.
That has definitely worked in my favor. They just blindfolded me and put me on a plane, and I ended up in Australia. And
twice.
Yeah, and they were like, "Do you want to do this interview?" And I said, "Yes, yes,
and where am I?
yes,
What
and
is this
yes."
harbour thing?
And I don't have my passport.
But that's fine. But yeah, I thought that was a great positive way of looking at it, where a lot of the time I think the default is, no, I don't want to do that too hard. I'm
too
this.
tired.
Or I'm
shut
too
it down,
cool.
shut it down.
Yeah.
Or what will people think?
Yeah, that's a big theme in Inside Out too. Is you go from being 12 to 13 and then you start realizing there are other people paying attention to you and you get in your own head. It's that sad thing when you're dancing and then all of a sudden you realize people are watching you dance. Yeah. It's a completely different thing. It doesn't go away for a really long time. And then when you get older, you don't care anymore. That's where I'm at.
Well, hopefully you do, because I think as adults sometimes you can struggle to push that out of the way.
Yeah.
You know what else I love too? Talking about Saturday Night Live and the work you've done and how, you still go on to do things and there are moments where you feel awkward, which you have to embrace the awkwardness, but also how at the time there were comments like, comedy is dead.
Yes.
Is comedy over?
I started SNL in 2001 in New York City, a very tough time to be doing live comedy. And, I think, SNL it's going to celebrate its 50th year.
Wow.
So it's certainly had its many headlines of best cast ever left. Can we rebuild?
Is there anything?
Yeah. Is there anything left? And it's a good reminder that things come in cycles and that people like to make headlines like that over and over again. But yeah, I started it when it was a really difficult time. And by the end of my tenure there, we were back doing tons of political sketches, and the world felt a little bit more.
Yeah, because you've got to be brave to do that too.
Yeah, it is like an emergency room. You just you don't panic. There's nothing you want. You don't want to go to an emergency room and see a bunch of people running around yelling, saying, "What are we going to do?" So everyone just kind of disassociates and gets into a zone, and then wakes up from a dream 10 years later.
Hoping that everything's okay.
Yeah, processes it.
I love that.
In Australia.
Yeah, you just wake up in Australia.
Without your passport.
And you live here now. I know this view is real. It's not fake.
You've got to get out there. No, it's 100% real. Those ferries are real. That opera house is not. You were there last night. It's not styrofoam.
It's pretty. And I just realized it looks like a giant ship, which I never really took
sails.
in. Sails, gorge.
You've got it. Amy Poehler.
I mean, there may be a moment where in one of these interviews it just also starts to move.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
That would be wild.
You just missed it. It went. Let's take it off.
And she's gone. She's gone. Well, what a wonderful time we had.
Amy, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. Nice to talk to you both. Thank you. Pleasure.
Fits in Whipper with Kate Ritchie is a Nova podcast. For more great shows like this, download the Nova Player via the App Store or Google Play.
The Nova Player.